Good morning to all and welcome to the session, the Hindu Editorial Analysis for Proficiency in English. Today's editorial is all about a release of 8 former Indian naval personnel from Qatar. So, what is this editorial about? This editorial is about the release of 8 former Indian naval personnel from Qatar. Any editorial like this, you have to take the fishbone approach. What happened in the past? They were sentenced to death. And why were they sentenced to death? You have to use question words like what, when, where, why, who, how. All these question words and the broad framework, the death penalty has been converted and now they have been acquitted. 7 returned home. It is all about that. And because of the interest taken by the Prime Minister, personal interest, and also subtle diplomacy also played a vital role. Let us go to the tone of the editorial. Because the Indian government did not go in for confrontation, it dealt in a proper manner and through legally. The tone of the editorial is highly appreciative. The tone of the editorial appears to be positive and appreciative. There are 2 words here, positive and appreciative. No confrontation, no questioning, no confrontation in the sense they did not question the Qatar government, they did not question the Qatar law, and in a smooth manner, subtle manner, they could get the release of the former Indian naval personnel. Highly positive and appreciative. Before we go to the editorial analysis, good morning. Before we go to the editorial analysis, I would like to give the important words based on this editorial. Have a look, listen to me. At the same time, if you know a related word, either synonym, antonym, word form, word combination, do comment immediately. That will help you guys in the long run. First one, usually hear a word like this because of our thinking, we may think brickmanship. It is not brickmanship, it is brinkmanship. You got to be very careful with the spelling. There's a potential for this word to come under misspelled words. Brinkmanship, the, the art of pushing, the art of pushing a dangerous situation or confrontation to the limit of safety, especially to force a desired outcome. To force, in a way, it is a negative word, it has a negative connotation. The art of pushing a dangerous situation or confrontation to the limit of safety, especially to force a desired outcome. Espionage, an important word, simple word for that, spying. Part of speech noun. Have a look at the part of speech as well. Part of speech is very important here. Noun, the practice of spying or using spies, especially one country, another country. At the country level, we use the word espionage. Personal level, we use the word spying. Sparse, adjective, part of speech adjective. Scanty, in short supply. Dearth of something and a short supply of something, lack of something, meager, scanty. All these words you have to recollect. Invoke has got 2 different meanings. Part of speech verb. One meaning it goes with religion, to invoke gods or a deity. That's a different meaning. In this context, to use a law in order to achieve something, to bring a law into force, to use a law, that is called invoke, an important word. Upheld, we have got many a time. Whenever there is a case, a judgment, lower court, higher court upholds. So uphold is a verb, upheld is a past form. Stand up for, stick up for. In a way, you can say stick up for in the sense to support. Someone imagine the lower court says something and the higher court approves the same, supports the same. Then we say uphold is a verb form. What is the past? Upheld. Upheld the judgment. Commute, an important word. You may ask, sir, why? It can be a noun, it can be a verb. And why is it important? It has 2 different meanings. A word like this you may get under word usage. One meaning, commute means to travel from one place to another place. usually long distance every day for work. When people travel long distance every day for work, that is known as commuting, and the person is called commuter. Commuter singular, commuters plural. But in this context, a different meaning altogether. Commute means to change one thing into another. If you look at this particular context, initially death penalty, later it was changed to imprisonment, and now they return. That's a different story. Commute. Counsel. From this word, you get part of speech noun, a barrister, lawyer, other legal advisor conducting a case. In this part of the world, we use the word lawyer. But if you take other countries, they may use words like barrister, counsel, attorney. If you take in the US, they use the word attorney. And here we use the word lawyer. Attribute, an important word we have got many a time, part of speech verb. Regard something as being caused by. What does it mean? Tomorrow you get the job and you're invited onto the stage at the time of the success meet. While speaking, you say, I attribute my success to my parents. Means what? Today you got success because of your parents. Regard something as being caused by. Someone is responsible for your success, then you attribute your success to them. Pursue goes with usually studies, dreams, part of speech verb. Follow or chase someone or something. You follow or chase someone or something, usually your dreams, your studies, pursue. Sparring, an important word. Spar is a verb, sparring, verb. To argue, argue with someone bitterly. That is one combination you have to recollect. A rhetoric, part of speech noun we have got many a time. The art of effective or persuasive speaking or writing. The art of writing, the art of persuasive writing or speaking. But generally, I say rhetoric goes with public speaking and politicians and leaders. They try to convince the masses using very powerful language, persuasive language. That is known as rhetoric, an important word. And heft, we have got for the first time, I suppose. Whenever you come across a word that you feel for the first time, after the session, spend some time, try to make your own examples and revise once or twice, only then you will be able to remember. Here, heft, part of speech noun, the weight of someone or something. The heft being imposed by the prime minister means the weight. In this sense, in this context, not literally the weight, the power, the influence. Interlocutor, we have got this also for the first time, part of speech noun. A person who takes part in a dialogue or conversation. A person takes part, rhetoric speech. Very good, Anand. I appreciate your response. Some students have been responding. Very good. Thank you. Keep doing that. It is good for you and good for the session also. Interlocutor, person who takes part in a dialogue or conversation. Aftermath, an important word, part of speech noun, though we have got many a time, the consequences or after effects of a significant unpleasant event. In a nutshell, it is nothing but the negative impact of an unpleasant event, the consequences of an unpleasant event, we say aftermath. Hefty is the adjective form. Very good, Sandeep. I appreciate that. These are the 14 words from today's editorial. Now let us go to the editorial, see how it starts. Homeward bound on the release of the 8 former Indian naval personnel from Qatar. As I said, 8 former Indian naval personnel were arrested last year. They got the death penalty or capital punishment. And the charges, why were they accused? And they got convicted also on the charges of espionage or spying for Israel, not for India, for Israel. That was the accusation. And now they have been released based on that. On the release, homeward means homebound. Here you can also say homebound. And in this context, you have to recollect the difference between home and house. Try to respond. What is the difference between home and house? Homebound, homeward, in the direction of the home. But answer my question, what is the difference between home and house? I'll wait for a few seconds. If you don't respond, I will tell the difference. Home, house. No one has responded. Here, home means the place where you live with your family. You live with your family. That is your home. And house is only a structure. Home can be a cave, a hut, a mud house, a bungalow, a tile house, a mansion, a palace. You live there with your family, that's your home. But house is only a structure. Aman has responded home with family, house, a structure. Wonderful, Aman. You're there, that's good. I appreciate. Others also I appreciate. Very good. But what is the main idea? The tone of the editorial positive and appreciative. You may come across all positive words. Quiet diplomacy. Again, an important word you have to recollect. Though easy, what are the two words you have to recollect? One is quiet, part of speech adjective means calm, and the other one, quiet. That is also adjective, and it could be adverb as well. So, what is the difference between quiet? Quiet means, who is this? Anand says, a building where home, family, home, family, house, structure. Good, I appreciate. Quiet, calm, quite very, quite big, quite big, quite interesting means what? Very interesting, very big. And a quiet place, calm, serene, placid. All these words, all the today is holiday. Why? Because of Valentine's Day. Valentine's Day. Okay. Wish you all a happy Valentine's Day. All the youngsters, they must be excited. Here, quiet diplomacy, not quiet diplomacy, quiet diplomacy without brinkmanship helped India's case in Qatar. So Indians have been successful. The government has been successful based on what? Quiet diplomacy, not based on brinkmanship. Brinkmanship, I said, it's a negative word. You try to force someone to get the desired result, that is known as brinkmanship. Saraswati Puja, okay, Aman, okay, good. Quiet diplomacy without brinkmanship helped India's case in Qatar. And obviously, this is about winning the case. Then you have to think of the broad framework. What was the case? What was the judgment or what was the verdict? Who was involved? Why were they involved? What was the accusation? What steps the government has taken to release these people? How long did it take? And was it the right way or the wrong way? Can it be justified? Cannot be justified? All these questions the editorial is going to touch. You can easily guess the broad framework of the editorial. The release of all 8 former Indian naval personnel from Qatar just about 3 months after they were ordered a shocking death sentence is a matter of great relief. When you read the editorial exam point of view, you have to know the subject, you have to identify the phrases, clauses, and the verb, subject verb agreement. A sentence like this, there's every possibility to get in the exam. What is the reason? The release, this is the subject, of all 8 former Indian naval personnel from Qatar, just this is one idea, just after 3 months after they were ordered a shocking death sentence, is a matter of great relief. So, what is the subject here? The release, and the verb that is singular used, the phrases, the clauses used to provide more information. Usually, what happens if you take English language, there are so many patterns. We have 8 lakh words and we have 350 patterns. And what is the basic pattern in English? Subject, verb, object pattern. If the writers use this pattern, SVO pattern, subject, verb, object, if the writers use this pattern, they cannot provide a lot of information. So, what do they do? After the subject, they may use a phrase or a clause. After the subject, after the object, they may use a phrase or clause. Or subject itself can be a word, a phrase, or a clause. Object can be a phrase or a clause. And once you have the ability to identify the phrases and clauses, it becomes easy for you. Looks like we have a problem, technical issue. Buffering. Wait for a few seconds. Now, is it okay? Aman, please respond. I think it's okay now. No, I know. It's over. Now sorted out. Good. Thanks for the response. Here, the release of who was released, whom did they release? Of all eight former Indian naval personnel from Qatar, and when were they arrested? Another idea. Just about 3 months after they were ordered a shocking death sentence, they were ordered a shocking death sentence. It is a matter of great relief. Now, what they try to do in the exam, they take a sentence like this and they try to change the verb, the release, and here they may use are. And if you're not quite sure about the subject, then you cannot find out the error that goes with subject verb agreement. An important sentence, but what does it mean? Something is a release. What is a release? What something is a great relief. What is of great relief? The release of the personnel, naval personnel, is a great relief. Ever since the eight men, seven senior retired naval officers, and a sailor who worked for the Qatar based Dahra Technologies were arrested in 2022, the details of the case have been sparse. Again, an important sentence. What is the reason? Here, whenever you see the expression ever since, generally I tell students there are two prepositions you have to be alert whenever you come across. What is the first one? First one is these two prepositions. They can be conjunctions, they can be prepositions. One is since, the other one for. All our students respond immediately. They know the difference. Since is used when it comes to specific time. For is used for a time period. And there's another expression you have to remember. They have given many a time in different competitive exams. Ever since. Whenever you come across since or ever since, there are two tenses possible. One present perfect tense, the other one present perfect continuous. Ever since takes the clause in the past, but after that clause, whatever the main idea, that has to be in present perfect tense. Ever since the eight men were arrested in 2022. How should you read this to simplify? Ever since they were arrested, ever since he stopped playing, ever since he got the job, ever since takes the tense in the past. But after that, the main idea should be in present perfect. Ever since the eight men, who are these eight men? Seven senior retired naval officers and a sailor who worked for, whom did they work for? Which company did they work for? Who worked for the Qatar based Dahra Technologies were arrested in 2022. Ever since the eight men were arrested in 2022, the details, this is a plural noun, the details of their case have been sparse. The details have been sparse. This is in present perfect. And here it is in present perfect active voice. She has been a student. He has been a professor. Present perfect active voice. Been has been used as a main verb. This pattern is also an important pattern. Here, ever since the eight men were arrested in 2022, this is in past. It has to be in past. The details have been sparse. The details of what? Their case have been sparse. In the exam, they may give has been, not correct, have been sparse. Sparse means what? Scanty. While their families denied reports that the men had been accused of espionage, possibly for a third country, namely Israel, the charges must have been serious enough to have invoked the death penalty. An important sentence, there's so much to learn. What is there to learn? They have been accused, but the families denied. While their families denied reports that the men had been accused, here it is in past perfect tense. The men had been accused of espionage or spying, possibly for a third country, as I said at the outset. Here, spying not for India, for a third country. What is a third country? Israel, namely Israel. The charges must have been serious enough. There are two patterns, two things you have to focus on from the exam point of view. One is must have been. Here you have to recollect three important helping verbs. Each one is one helping verb, it's a lengthy one. May have been, rarely we use. Might have been, and must have been. Now you have to wonder what is the difference between, put this in brackets, might have been and must have been. Might have been, the pattern means it is used to express the past possibility, which is a guess. Something happened in the past, you don't know how it happened, and obviously you try to guess. Then you have to say, she might have done it, he might have done it. Coming to must have, it is used to express the past possibility, not past possibility. It is used to make a deduction about the past. Something happened in the past, and you can make a deduction, means what? Come to conclusion. Then you have to use must have. I'll give an example, then perhaps you understand, because it is important. I'm going a little off the track. Imagine yesterday there was a party. Many people came. I lost my gold chain. I suspect the servant, but it's only a guess. Past possibility, which is a guess. So, what will I say? The servant might have stolen the chain. The other situation, yesterday there was a party, heavy rain, only one person came, only the servant came. I don't have to guess. I can make a deduction because it happened in the past, deduction about the past. Then I will say the servant must have stolen the chain. Might have stolen, must have stolen. One is a guess about past possibility, the other one is a deduction about the past incident. And why is this important? Enough, the word enough is important. Enough can be an adjective, can be an adverb. As an adjective, it is not important. He has enough money, she has enough time. Adjective here in these two examples, not that important. But enough as an adverb comes after an adjective. In many exams they've given the room is enough large to accommodate 10 people. Wrong. The room is large enough to accommodate. She is intelligent enough. He is rich enough. Here, serious in this context. Adverb. Here it talks about the denial by the families of the accused of espionage and why, what exactly did they do? Spying for a third country, Israel. And the charges must have been serious enough to have invoked, bring into force the death penalty. What is the other expression for death penalty? Death penalty means a capital punishment. That is an important one. You may get in the exam as a passage because today, capital punishment, death penalty, it has been in the limelight. In many countries, it has been abolished, but still in our country, we have, and some intellectuals have been demanding death penalty has to be abolished. What is the other expression for death penalty? Capital punishment. An appeals court did in December commuted one pattern. An appeals court commuted one pattern. An appeals court did commute, that is used for emphasis. Here, commute means a change. The death penalty to imprisonment terms. From death penalty, it has been changed to imprisonment, but upheld the conviction. Upheld the conviction. Conviction we got yesterday. Four words you have to remember all the time. One, innocent, acquitted. Second, guilty, convicted. Conviction is a noun form. It is to the government's credit. Now, what happened? That is one thing. They returned. That is something positive. How did it happen? Who should be given the credit? It is to the government's credit that it was able to bring about the release of all the eight, seven of whom have now returned. The credit goes to the government and a vital role played by the Prime Minister Narendra Modi. The success seems attributable. I said attribute. You get success, you attribute your success to your parents. The success seems attributable to the strategies New Delhi employed. Colon means a lot of things have been listed out. Each one talks about a particular reason or particular strategy. So, how could they achieve this? They have used a lot of strategies. What are those strategies? All the sentences you come across, the strategies followed. First one, to pursue the case in court, showing respect to the Qatari legal system. They pursued the case in the court, means what? They respected the Qatari legal system, first reason, while providing the accused with full legal support and counsel. At the same time, they wanted to proceed legally. They respected the Qatari legal system and they provided the counsel, lawyer, to the accused with full legal support and counsel. It is used for emphasis. Who is this Nagesh? Imagine someone asks you, do you like English? For God's sake, don't say, I don't like English. Casually, you can say, yes, I like English. But you like English a lot. You want to emphasize. Then you will say, you have to say, yes, I do like English. I like English casual. I do like English emphatic. Same way, I saw the person casual. I did see the person emphatic. The court commuted casual. The court did commute emphatic. Emphasis. Have you got the difference? That's a good question. A lot of students ask me, what are the reasons, what are the strategies to pursue the case in court, showing respect to the Qatari legal system, at the same time, while providing the accused with full legal support and counsel? And the second reason, here, semicolon, each one represents a particular strategy. I do like it. Wonderful. Avoid all escalatory rhetoric and public sparring. Here, avoid, the Indian government avoided all escalatory rhetoric, persuasive writing or speaking, especially public speech. It goes with public speech and public sparring, argument, publicly criticizing the Qatari government. Indian government did not do any of these things. There are other strategies, and to take the case to the highest levels, with Prime Minister Narendra Modi discussing it with the Qatari Amir Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani during a meet in Dubai in December. The third strategy, all these strategies worked out, and we could get all the eight men back. That Mr. Modi announced an unscheduled leg of travel, an important expression. An unscheduled leg of travel means uh, did not plan to visit Qatar. Now he is going to visit. That Mr. Modi announced an unscheduled leg of travel to Doha on Wednesday after his ongoing trip to the United Arab Emirates signifies his personal involvement and his desire to thank the Qatari Amir. After the release of these men, right now the PM is in the UAE and he has announced his desire to visit Doha on Wednesday, perhaps to thank the Qatari Amir. And schedule, unscheduled. Americans pronounce the same word as my pleasure, Nagesh. Americans say schedule, and British English, we follow British English, schedule. But what is the American pronunciation? Schedule, unscheduled leg of travel. And also here, there's one thing you have to. The United Arab Emirates. Smart learners always try to recollect based on one word, one expression, related information. The moment you see the UAE, the United Arab Emirates, exam point of view, very important, you have to recollect these examples immediately. One, the Netherlands. Second, the Irish Republic. Third one, the Philippines. Given many a time. The Netherlands, the US, the UK, I appreciate Nagesh, but usually they don't give because everyone knows the USA, the UK. But they have given many a time in different competitive exams the Netherlands, the Irish Republic, the Philippines, and here one more example the UAE. All these you have to recollect. The Qatar case is a timely reminder of the importance of quiet diplomacy. It's a timely reminder. Good morning, good morning. Timely reminder of what? Quiet diplomacy. This is all about quiet diplomacy, not indulging in brinkmanship. The Qatar case is a timely reminder of the importance of quiet diplomacy at a time of brinkmanship now and geopolitical conflict. Now the countries are using, because of the geopolitical conflict backdrop, they are resorting to brinkmanship. But India has not done it. It has gone in for quiet diplomacy. That is something positive, particularly when it comes to relationships where so much else is at stake, particularly when it comes to relationships where so much is at stake. At stake means something very important. It is going to make a tremendous impact on something big, important, whatever it is. The stakes are very high. Something is at stake. His name is at stake. His property is at stake. His wealth is at stake. All these things you have to recollect. What the sentence means: when things are, something is at stake, countries resort to brinkmanship, but India has not done it. India has gone in for quiet diplomacy. And what is at stake? That also the editorial talks about. For India, Qatar is an important West Asian power. So one of the reasons so much is at stake because India and Qatar, so many ties are tie-ups and ties are very good. Economic ties, political ties. It talks about all those things. For India, Qatar is an important West Asian power with increased heft weight during the Israel-Gaza conflict as an important inter. For Qatar, ties with India are historic and dependable. When it comes to India, the role of Qatar. When it comes to Qatar, importance of India. For Qatar, ties with India are historic and dependable. Qatar depends on India for products and services. Consistent even when Qatar was boycotted by its Gulf neighbors some years ago. When Qatar was boycotted by Gulf neighbors, India stood with Qatar. Qatar supplies, to substantiate that statement, Qatar supplies India with a third of its natural gas import needs, and the signing of a 78 billion US dollars LNG deal last week may have been an early sign that the deal for the prisoners' release had been sealed by then. Here it is in past perfect, passive voice. First this one, so it is in past perfect. And second action here, signing off a 78 billion LNG deal. This sentence talks about the ties between the two countries, economic ties. One example: Qatar supplies India with a third of its natural gas import needs, and the signing of a 78 billion US dollars LNG deal last week may have been, see here, might have been, may have been, a past possibility which is a guess, an early sign that the deal for the prisoners' release had been sealed by then. First, they had sealed the release of the prisoners. After that, they signed the deal. That is a guess. And there's one important word here again: prisoners. Have a look at the apostrophe. Generally, we use the apostrophe before the letter S. You all know that. But if at all you're talking about, you're referring to a plural noun that ends in the letter S, we have to use the apostrophe after the letter S, not before the letter S. And that is very important. A common error Quite often people write boys hostel. Answer my question. BOY apostrophe S hostel. It is wrong. Why is it wrong? Here we are talking about hostel belongs to boys, many boys, not one boy. Boys, plural noun ending in the letter S. Then we have to use the apostrophe after the letter S. Boys, this is a noun. After the letter S, apostrophe hostel. This has been given in some exams because it goes with common errors. More than 8 lakh Indians provide important services to Qatar and bring in critical remittance earnings for India, foreign exchange. Here, New Delhi's decision not to seek international intervention, as it did. Now, editorial provides one important example. To justify the statement, quiet diplomacy, India did not resort to brinkmanship. In the past, a similar case, India resorted to brinkmanship, and it talks about the same thing. New Delhi's decision not to seek international intervention, as it did in the case of former naval commander Kulbhushan Jadhav, who has been convicted, present perfect passive voice, who has been convicted of espionage and terror charges in Pakistan. That time India wanted international intervention. This time it did not do that. It has not done it. Nor to counter Qatar's charges with the kind of harsh diplomatic countermeasures seen in the aftermath of the Niger assassination case in Canada. Again, you have to follow, only then you can understand. Yes, it is wrong. Exactly. It means it belongs to one boy. Not correct. I appreciate that, Nagesh. It talks about in the case of Kulbhushan, it did not seek, that time it sought international intervention and he was convicted that time. When it comes to Canada, Canada also accused India related to assassination of a particular leader, Sikh leader, not to counter Qatar's charges with the kind of harsh diplomatic countermeasures seen in the aftermath of Niger assassination case in Canada. That time, India took countermeasures related to diplomatic countermeasures seen in the aftermath, the negative impact of something, of the Niger assassination case in Canada. Eventually, all these things eventually provided an outcome satisfactory for all. In a nutshell, India did not resort to brinkmanship, it resorted to quiet diplomacy, and based on that, today, all the 8 men were released, 7 returned. And here there's one important word that goes with redundancy. A return. Answer my question, return back. He returned back from Delhi yesterday. Is that right or wrong? Return back. It's a common error. It is not correct. Return means to come back. After return, you should not say back. If you use it, it is known as a redundancy. A redundancy, unnecessary use of words. You can also say superfluous. That's all about the editorial, I suppose. Let us go to. Yes. Whenever you read an editorial, starting of the editorial, the release of someone, immediately be smart enough to think of the broad framework. Who was arrested? What was the sentence? What was the verdict? Why were they arrested? The reasons behind, and what role Indian government played? Eventually, what happened, and whether positive or negative. Wrong, wrong. Yes, very good. I appreciate your response. Now, please go to the questions to test your comprehension skill. What is the primary reason for the relief expressed in the editorial? Something great relief. What is the primary reason? Already someone has answered, Aman. Successful execution of a military operation, resolution of a diplomatic crisis, economic development in India, expansion of Qatar's natural gas supply. No. Resolution of a diplomatic crisis, great relief. Good, I appreciate that. According to the editorial, how did the Indian government handle the case of the 8 former naval personnel in Qatar? How did the Indian government handle the case of former naval personnel? Through aggressive rhetoric and public sparring? No. Seeking international intervention? No. Pursuing the case in court with respect for the Qatari legal system? Hold this one. Ignoring the situation? No. What is the answer for? Please mention the question number. And when we go to the editorial, mention the vocabulary, the word number. When we go to editorial vocabulary, answer is obviously C. Very good. Question number 3. What is emphasized as a successful strategy employed by India in dealing with the Qatar case? What is emphasized as a successful strategy? Publicly criticizing the Qatari legal system, escalating the situation with harsh diplomatic countermeasures, quiet diplomacy, and avoiding brinkmanship. Very good question. This editorial is all about this. What is the answer? Quiet diplomacy, one thing. At the same time, avoiding brinkmanship. Good. Question number 4. What role did Prime Minister Narendra Modi play in the resolution of the Qatar case as mentioned in the editorial? What was the role of the Prime Minister? Ignored the issue entirely, personally involved and engaged in diplomatic discussions, hold this one, issued aggressive statements against Qatar, sought international intervention. So, what is the answer here? Personally involved. Yes, Anand, you got it right. First one to respond. Personally involved and engaged in diplomatic discussions. Good. I appreciate that. So far, so good. The last question to test your comprehension skill. According to the editorial, what did the appeals court What did the court do? What did the appeals court do in December regarding the death penalty? All these people got death penalty or capital punishment initially. What did the appeals court did in the month of December? Upheld the death penalty, commuted the death penalty to imprisonment terms, acquitted the individuals, increased the severity of the punishment. Commuted the death penalty or commuted the capital punishment to imprisonment terms. B is the answer. Good, if you have got all the 5 correct, you should be happy because you have listened to me a live session. After listening, you could answer these questions. That's wonderful. It shows that you're a good listener and you're good at comprehension skill. Keep it up. Let us have a look at the words we got yesterday based on the editorial. We have have brought 13 words. As usual, first you write the part of speech, very important. Then you write the meaning, write the key words. And if you know the word forms, word combinations, word usage, do write that also. That will help you guys in the long run. Don't stop with the meaning, that is of no use. First one, turmoil, part of speech, noun. And what is the typical combination and also the combination used in the editorial means what? A confused state, chaos. That is the right word you have to. Confusion. Subvert, an important word. Subversion, noun form, subvert, verb. You can also think of the word sabotage. Means what? To make, spoil or undermine. Yes, Akhila. Undermine is the right word. To make something very weak, slowly, gradually, or destroy. And we use the word undermine, spoil, subvert. Mandate, mandatory, related word, compulsory, mandatory. But here, what is it? Mandate, it's a verb. And it goes with elections. The mandate of the people, the verdict of the people, nothing to do with the legal dimension. Mandate means what? Verb, obviously. It can be a noun also. Very good. It can be a noun, it can be a verb. But what does it mean? Authorization. Very good, Anand. That is a word have been waiting for. Related to elections. But what does it mean? Giving the authority to someone to represent. It goes with elections, giving the power to a particular party. Conviction, noun. As a what is a verb form? Convict. And the person, convict. It changes. Spelling is the same. Pronunciation changes. Convict, convict. Conviction. Two meanings. Who is this? Aquila says believes. No, in the context of the editorial, what does it mean? It's a legal term. But generally, I say sometimes, I can say with conviction. I would like to say with conviction, means firm belief. I appreciate that, Aquila. Belief, firm belief. But in the context of the editorial, conviction means what? Someone has been found guilty and to punish. Convict means to punish. Bar can be a noun, we all know that. And in the context of the editorial, it has been used as a verb. As a verb means what? Bar means what? Formal declaration for what? Conviction. Conviction means the statement given by a judge about a person saying that he is found guilty and then the verdict, the punishment, whatever the punishment. Bar means a prohibit. Yes, that is the right word. Anand. Sai Ganesh says sure about. Perhaps you are talking about conviction. Yes. Mention the word number. Defect has two different meanings. One, it can be a noun. Second, it can be a verb. Defect as a noun, a flaw, a mistake. There's a defect in the system. There's a flaw in the system. But in the editorial, it has been used as a verb. Defect, defected, defected. Political defection. Generally, it goes with a political party. A member of a particular party goes from that party to another party. That is known as political defection. It can go with a country also, but generally it goes with a party. It takes. తెలుస్తుందా అక్కడ తెలీదా ఉమ్. చూడు విను ఒకసారి ఎక్స్క్యూజ్ మీ హ్యావ్ యూ ఆన్సర్డ్ విచ్ వన్ సెవెన్ run up to it takes the preposition to run up to general elections means the period before the time period before a major event. Wonderful. And nemesis, an important word, part of speech, noun. Nemesis of a particular person, the period preceding a major or a notable event. Very good. I appreciate all those students, Anand, Akila. Now go to the next one, rival or enemy. That brings you down. The person or someone or something brings a person down, otherwise a popular person down. Then we say his nemesis, an important word. Exile, part of speech, noun. It can also be a verb. He has been exiled, verb. He was in exile, noun. What does it mean? Catapult we got yesterday, I think day before yesterday. We have been getting that word, catapult. Push someone from one place to another place with a lot of force. Banishment, emigration, exile. Prohibit someone from entering a particular country or ban someone, tell someone to leave a particular country. That is exile. Not a positive word, it's a negative word. Leverage, part of speech, verb. It can also be a noun. Leverage, leveraged, leveraged. It's a verb, regular verb. To make use of something to the maximum advantage. To use something to the fullest potential. Banish, expel. Very good, Sandeep. Banish, expel. Anand also says being banned from. That is also good, wonderful. Catapult we got yesterday, part of speech verb. To push someone or something with a lot of force. Leverage means what? To use something to the maximum advantage. You have something, you use it to the maximum advantage to get better results, then you use the word leverage. Please respond. We are running out of time. Prevail, part of speech verb. Prevailing situation means the existing situation. Power, more powerful or superior. For which one? Perhaps you are talking about 12. Mention the word number, only then I can respond. Yes. 12, power, more powerful, superior, prevail upon someone, prevail upon something, means dominate, to be more powerful. And coalition goes with a party, and coalition goes with a government. It goes with parties. Two, three parties come together and form a government, then we say coalition government. Good, I appreciate your response. Have a nice day. Thanks for being with me till the fag end of the session. I will see you guys tomorrow. Thank you very much.